Yo, what's up guys, it's your boy Nitrostorm here, welcome back to my channel. So before I start, unfortunately I am one of the unworthy and unfortunate that has not been granted access to the closed beta of Arknights Endfield. However, that doesn't stop me from doing my research by, watching other people play the game. And so I'm using this Reddit post just for reference in terms of information regarding the Gacha system, but I'll be comparing with other games just to gauge the current state of the Gacha system that is not yet finalized, right? Just to preface before a minute into this video, this Gacha system I'm sure is not yet finalized. It's just a closed beta. Things are still being tested, so I'm looking forward to the improvements in the future. So first things first, I'll keep things as simple as possible and try not to give too many information at once. So we'll start off by comparing pity numbers. So 80 rolls to guarantee a 6-star, so this is your hard pity. And it's a 50-50, carries over, fair enough. And then soft pity starts around 15 pulls before the hard pity. Pretty average, your usual Gacha system stuff. So if you take a look at Mothering Waves, pretty much the same thing here, as you can see. 80 pulls for guaranteed 5-star, and then if you 80 pulls for guaranteed 5-star, and then if you look at Genshin, it's 90 pulls for guaranteed 5-star. So at this first stage, Endfield is looking pretty good in terms of pity just to get a 6-star. As well as having a nice soft pity. So if you take a look at the next part here, 120 rolls to guarantee the rate up, which is very strong if you compare to the other two games. In Mothering Waves, you would have to double this number if you lose the 50-50, so 160 pulls. And then for Genshin Impact, you would have to double this number if you fail a 50-50 for the maximum hard cap of 180 pulls. So overall, we're already seeing an improvement over the other two games. But if we are basing it just on pity numbers alone, then Snowbreak Containment Zone would be one tier above the rest in this case. Now, albeit they added this Gacha system around close to a year, if not a year, after the game released, and essentially you can guarantee the character within 100 pulls, with the extra caveat that any 5-star that you get will be the featured banner, which is insane. Now, the one thing that people are considering in terms of the Gacha system for Endfield is that the only once per banner and does not carry over to the next banner. So what this implies is that the 120 rolls is what you essentially need for every single featured banner in Arknights in order to pull the featured rate up, right? And so a lot of people are complaining because it says you have to have 120 rolls in every banner. I mean, 120 rolls prepared for every banner that you wish to pull the featured on. Otherwise, it's basically there's no point in pulling because it does not carry over to the next banner, right? And then I guess one of the main arguments is that if they compare it to another game, so in this case, let's compare it to a Genshin Impact, right? So in this case, let's say you were pulling for a character and then you failed the 50-50, and then you're like, oh, then you gave up, right? And then you're saving up for another banner for a featured, and then in that case, since you already failed the 50-50, all you need to do now is pull 90, up to 90, and then you can guarantee a featured. Meanwhile, in Arknights Endfield, you still have to pull 120 times, even if you fail the 50-50 from a previous banner. Now, here's the minor detail that I don't think we are considering or noticing. When you pull, I know it's a gacha game, right? But when you pull for a featured banner, your aim is literally to pull for the featured because that is what your aim is in the first place. So we have to put that into consideration, because otherwise you would think, oh, Genshin, if you failed 50-50 on the previous banner, then 90 pulls on the next one, lower pity, better game. Wrong. The reason for that is because normally when you pull for a character, let's say in this case you're pulling for Carlotta, you're aiming to get Carlotta. So, and then if you start from 0 pity and then you fail the 50-50 and then you guarantee Carlotta, that is on average over 120 pulls, right? And then every time you're starting a new banner on Genshin or Wuthering Waves or any other gacha game that has 50-50 and stuff like that, you're technically going to be starting near 0 pity because you've already used resources on the last featured rate to get the featured in the first place. So if we put that into perspective, on average, the player, the Wuthering Waves Genshin player, Honkai Star Rail player are on average spending more pulls to get the featured character compared to Arknights Endfield. So if you are a free-to-play, technically Arknights Endfield has a better system because you need less pulls to get the 6-star featured. Now, the next bit here, just to go in even further, is that it's only once per banner. Now, free-to-plays and those that don't aim to get dupes, they have nothing to worry about here because according to the community, the Arknights community, you don't need dupes unlike other gacha games. Hopefully that's the case when it does come out because it is still in closed beta, but I'd say I have high hopes because I think in the original Arknights game, I don't think you need dupes either. So considering the previous game, Arknights Endfield will probably not require dupes as well for their 6-star characters. So if you're free to play or a one copy enjoyer, this does not apply nor does it matter to you. Now, if you are a spender or a whale, well, unfortunately I can't really help you much there, but if I were a spender in Arknights Endfield, I technically wouldn't enjoy this because obviously once this is gone, if I want to pull the other duplicates, then I'm going to have to bank on the 50-50s and I could probably lose all of it. But, you know, it's something for the whales to complain, I guess. It's not really for the majority of players to worry about. Now, another extra thing here that is not considered is that from what I've been told and from what I've researched, these banners in Arknights Endfield, the moment the banner ends, I think the Reddit comments mention it here. No, I think it was somewhere else. It mentions that these go into the standard pull after the banner ends. So you can still pull these as off banners in future banners. So that's a W in Endfield. However, if you look at other games like Snowbreak, right? Like Snowbreak, Wuthering Waves and Genshin and other gacha games, they are limited banners, meaning once the banner's gone, you're gonna have to wait until a rerun occurs to have another shot at pulling that character. So, considering how Endfield characters go to the standard pull, after their banner ends, you still have a shot at pulling dupes as a spook on your 80 roll 6-star if you lose the 50-50. So that's another thing that should be considered when it comes to the character gacha system. So overall, I would say the character gacha system is pretty good for Arknights Endfield if we are considering that when you pull for a featured character, you're aiming to get the featured character. If you're only going for the 50-50 win or lose strat, then obviously is not going to be something that you'd like. But basically that would mean you just have to adapt to the game, and rather than just saving 80 pulls, you're going to be saving up for 120 just to ensure that you get the guarantee. So overall, I'm not sure if I've mentioned this already, but the character banner for Arknights Endfield, I would say is pretty good. I'm just not sure why this is only once per banner. I think they could probably get away with just having this repeating, because if they make this repeating, it's technically a better banner overall. So from that I mean is well, I mean, I guess they don't need to carry over, I guess, because 120 is still a pretty solid number. But if they remove only once per banner, I think it'll be a pretty solid gacha system overall. It'll be something for the whales. At least it'll allow them to whale characters. And then for those that are free to play, well, changing this isn't really going to affect them anyway. It's still going to be 120 pulls regardless. So overall, pretty good character gacha system. So now let's move on to the weapons. I think there's been a lot of controversy regarding the gacha system here, but I feel like we need to provide more context just to ensure that we know what we are getting into. So when you do normal pulls, right, character pulls and stuff like that, you can get arsenal tickets, which is the extra currency used for pulling weapons or claiming weapons, as you can see here. So I know I'm using Tectone here, but I'm just focusing on this bit here. As you can see, when you get, so these things, this icon is you would call it arsenal tickets. So if you pull a 6-star, you get 1.5k. If you pull a 5-star character, you get 500, and then 50 if you get a 4-star. And then just passively by doing pulls, you can get enough to actually just buy a 6-star weapon from the shop, which is a rotating shop, I think every month. You can also get 5-star weapons from it as well, which is pretty nice, right? Now, if you want to do a bit of gambling, you can instead pull on a weapon banner, which normally comes alongside the character that is featured. So in this case, this character. So the multis here are nearly 3,000 tickets per multi, and then you can also use the in-game currency to convert it into tickets for a 30-to-10 ratio, which I wouldn't recommend, right? Don't be impatient, just pull characters and then use the tickets when you have them, right? Do not do this. Do not do this. If you're a whale, okay, whatever, it's up to you, it's your money. Now, just don't get confused with the 5-star guaranteed every multi. It is basically 4-star guaranteed every multi, and then 5-star is 6-star, right? Now, the rates. We'll look at the pity in a bit, but we'll look at the rates. So as you can see, 25% for rate up, and then 75% for non-rate up. Let's first compare this to Genshin Impact. So, if you go to a weapon banner, as you can see, they have 2 featured weapons, and then 2 featured weapons with 75% chance of getting one of them, and then 25% chance of losing, right? So it's essentially similar to Arknights Endfield, except that 25, 75 have been flipped. If you look at a higher, like a better version, it would be Honkai Star Rail with a 75% featured, 25% non-featured, and there's no mix of featured in the weapons. And then if you want a higher upgrade to that, then we will look at Wuthering Waves, which has a 100% chance to get the featured weapon within 80 pulls, which is pretty nice. 100% chance. Take a look here. Well, it's based 0.8%, but if you get, let's see. I guess it doesn't really state. Here you go. Base 5 weapon. Oh, okay. It's not really showing it. But 5-star weapon featured is guaranteed, right? That's all I can really say here. And then last but not least, if you take a look at Snowbreak, it's not showing here, but it's also 100% featured weapon within 80 pulls. And then any 5-star you get earlier or less is still the featured weapon, similar to, basically identical to Wuthering Waves. So overall, just by looking at the rate up alone, we are looking at Genshin level rate ups, except the 25% and 75% are switched. So in Genshin, you have 2 featured weapons and then you 75% to get one of them. In this case, it's 25% to get one of them. Now, not all weapon banners have multiple 6-star weapons, right? Some banners will have 1 rate up weapon. Obviously, it doesn't change the fact that it's 25-75, but there are banners, I believe, from what I've seen so far, unless I'm blind, is that there are banners where it's only 1 6-star weapon. So it's not that bad, right? Now, let's look at the pity now. In every 4 multis, you have 6-star weapon. That is insane, right? As you saw from the other games, I believe Genshin Impact is, let's see, Genshin Impact should be what, 80 pulls, I think? Yeah, 80 pulls. Wuthering Waves, 80 pulls. Snowbreak Containment Zone, 80 pulls. 80 pulls to get a max rarity weapon. In Arknights, it's only 4 multis. So as you can see, it's half the amount of pulls to guarantee a guaranteed, like half the amount of pulls to guarantee a high rarity weapon. Now, if we do some extra maths here, since we're getting 6 stars in half the pulls of Genshin, for example, then you could say it's about, if you try to average the rates, you can probably say it's better than Genshin. Technically speaking, if we are pulling on weapon banners that are only 1 featured 6-star weapon, then the weapon system in terms of performance will be similar to Snowbreak Containment Zone and Wuthering Waves, which has a guarantee within 80 pulls. So technically speaking, this is fine. The issue here is that it seems that there are going to be cases where there are multiple 6-star rate ups in weapon banners. So the guarantee in this case is a gamble because you can only do it once. So I think the free-to-play option here might be the fact that you can buy weapons in the shop. You can do this in Honkai Star Rail, but only for standard weapons. You cannot do this in Genshin Impact for 5-star weapons, I believe. I need to double check that. Yep, you cannot. For Wuthering Waves, you also cannot buy weapons. And then for Snowbreak Containment Zone, you technically can. You would have to dismantle 2 5-star weapons, and then you can use that currency to buy 1 5-star weapon of your choice. I believe you have to I think you have to own it though. You have to previously own that weapon to get the dupe. But yeah, in any case, it's rare it's rare in gacha games that you're able to buy weapons for a gacha game. So being able to buy weapons is pretty good. Now, I'm not sure if these weapons are standard only or if the weapon shop will update to add weapons that are introduced alongside new banners, because these banners are going to be added into the standard banner, the standard gacha. So I'm thinking that their weapon would also be added into the standard gacha. So, you know, if it's the same, then I would say it's pretty decent, right? So yeah, overall, I think the only issue here is the fact that there are cases where there are multiple 6-star features. But if there's only 1 featured, then it's no different than Wuthering Waves or Snowbreak. I guess if you take a look at the pools though, in terms of this, it's definitely alleviated by doing multis in character banners to do weapon pools, so you can get free pools essentially. But if you're directly trading it, you're technically close to trading two character multis for one weapon multi. So it's technically more expensive, but you have the ability to save up weapon pools just by doing character pools and then skipping weapon banners because you might not need them that much, right? And you can just buy weapon shops by doing rotations. So I believe at this point I've probably analyzed as much as I can regarding Endfield gacha system. To summarize, the character gacha is pretty good for free to play. Not really that helpful if you want dupes, but as I mentioned before, you don't really need dupes. I guess one extra thing here, speaking of dupes, in Wuthering Waves, the one thing that they do have above basically every single other big gacha game out there, I think, is the fact that you're able to buy dupes. You're able to buy dupes in the shop, maximum of 2 when the banner comes out. Now, I don't know if they reset, but you can buy up to 2 dupes. But keep in mind, you have to do a lot of pulls to be able to buy 2 dupes. So even though you can buy 2 dupes, the amount of pulls you need to do to be able to get those 2 dupes is a lot. So just putting that out there, even though it is there, it takes a lot of pulls. But if you save up as a free-to-play, you'll have an easier time max duping a character if you've been saving up for a long time, because you are saved. There is a buffer, a 2 dupe buffer, so you only need to pull 4 more copies instead of 6 more copies to max dupe. But in any case, back to Arknights Endfield. As I mentioned, character banner is actually pretty decent. While it doesn't carry over, 120 pulls to guarantee is better than Wuthering Waves and Genshin Impact, because of the fact that when you pull, I'm assuming you pull to win. But if you're only pulling YOLOs, 80s, 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 then you're going to have a better time pulling in games that are like Genshin and Wuthering Waves than in Arknights Endfield, because 80, 80, 80s will not eventually guarantee you. You have to have 120 pulls. But outside of that, it's technically better, right? And then for weapon banners, it's iffy. There's a lot of improvements that could be made here, but I can see where they're going here. 4 multis for a 6-star weapon is definitely strong. The 25% for rate up doesn't seem to be that much of a good idea, especially considering the fact that there are going to be cases where there are multiple 6-star weapons. But you know, 4 multis for a 6-star, that is pretty low. So that is a low amount of pulls. And then 8 multi for the guarantee, only need to do it once. I do understand it's only once per banner. Again, this is a problem that only whales will have. And so, yeah, the only issue I would have here is a 25-75 and the fact that there could be multiple 6-star rate ups. Now, if the rate ups are only one 6-star, right? If they are if they change it and there are and then the only case of this banner is that it's only one 6-star rate up weapon, then this is good. Simple as, right? I do understand that it's a 25-75, but you're guaranteed on the 8th multi anyway, which puts it on par with Wuthering Waves and Snowbreak, right? And so, if you get lucky with the 25-75, sure. But then in the 8th multi, again, similar case, you'll get the guarantee weapon anyway. So, here's my 2 cents, right? Here's my 2 cents just for those that are skipping the entire video. Here is my improvement for the character gacha. If you want to do the minimum effort, Arknights Endfield, if you want to do the minimum effort, you remove this. you basically just remove that. Because 120 rolls to guarantee the 6-star rate up is very generous already. Just remove that. 120 rolls is good. It doesn't need to carry over, because I do understand how, you know, the banners work. 120 is fine. Sure, there could be those that could argue that it could be better, but come on, don't forget, Wuthering Waves has a 160 pull hard pity, and then Genjin has a 180 pull hard pull guarantee pity. So keep that in mind. And then for weapon gacha, again, if you want to do the bare minimum, Arknights Endfield, remove this. Just make sure that there is only one featured weapon in Arknights Endfield, and then you're good to go. Basically, remove this for weapons and remove this for characters, and your banner, your gacha system is already miles better than it is, and very good compared to the other gacha games out there. Apologies if this video took a long time. I will timestamp this section here, the TLDR, but I do hope that my explanations throughout the video is helpful, just to give more context in regards to the gacha system and how it's not that bad, as well as how things can be improved. If you have any more questions in regards to Arknights Endfield, you're probably better off looking for other content creators, because I do not have access to the game. But if you have questions regarding the gacha system, well, you can feel free to ask down below. It's been your boy Nitrostorm. I'll see you guys in the next stream or video. Peace.